but you always figure out a way to pivot and figure it out. I see this year as being a huge explosion of paper call. You know, you can learn anything nowadays. I feel like everything's on YouTube, right?
Hey, what's up guys? Just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsors at Ringba and OfferVault, the #1 call tracking platform. It's what we use. And also, don't forget to grab your copy of The Paper Call Revolution, which you can find on Amazon. We'll link below and underneath this video.
Great book.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Darren Blatt, one of the OGs that's been in this space since the late 90s. He is the marketer's marketer, and of course, he has created and still runs the Affy Awards and the Affiliate Ball, which are two of the biggest events in this space. Thank you for joining me, my man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, brother. So why don't you share with the audience how you got into this space and when it was, which I find super interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. I could do a documentary just on the evolution of the game, right? Well, I got started in '97. So like when I go to the trade shows, I don't meet too many other people other than Jason Akatif, who started way back, you know? But at the very beginning, it was a simpler place. You had dial-up. I feel like I rode a dinosaur to my office, you know, it was very old. But it's been interesting to watch the evolution, you know? The email marketing, the SMS eventually, link sites, traffic, all the ways that we try to monetize traffic at the beginning. But right now is an exciting time because, as you know, pay-per call is blown up. If you have a call center, you're probably doing very well. I mean, e-com's always going to do what it does. Yep. It's always going to be there. But I think the big explosion right now is in pay-per call.
And it's coming at a time with regulations, TCPAs kicking in.
Yes.
Right? So it's an interesting time.
Yes. I think a lot of people got burnt in the past with all the regulations. They didn't have everything covered right. SMS threw people for a loop and it got really difficult. Did the people really want that email or the message? Of course they did if they opted in.
Right.
But still, you get a complaint, your codes are shut down, and it was tough, right? But if you get somebody to call you, obviously, that's very compliant.
It's fair game.
They're calling you.
Right.
So it's a very exciting time.
So when you first got into the space in the late 90s, early 2000s, what were you focused on then compared to what you do now?
When I got in, I worked for a technology company that invented the very first third-party counter. So they counted traffic. It was called Hitbox. And the way it worked, they were like the Nielsen rating. So if you had traffic and you needed like a buyer of your traffic, how would you show them your stats, right? They would think you doctored it up. But if you used a third party, the only one that was ever invented at the time, Hitbox, that was the company that's how I fell into the business. I was working with them. And then it gave me a really good chance to monetize traffic and play around with clicks and figure out, well, what gets the most clicks, right? But I was able to play with an audience back in 97, 98, 99, around, I think we were doing around maybe 1 million unique visitors a day. And at that time,
that's huge.
That was beyond, right? The largest counter user of ours, in contrast, was doing 100,000 hits a day, maybe 200. So it was like we didn't announce our numbers because we didn't put a counter on our listing site, that, you know?
Right.
But that's where I got my start, and it was fun. I picked a lot of brains. I'm a little different than most. I'm wired different. I have a sales and marketing background.
Same.
So when I started, that's great. It's good to have. It's that hustle, right? I used to go door to door all the time, so that's where I get that grit, that hustle. You take all the rejection going door to door. You find the internet, and finally, you got a way to do the numbers really quick. You take the rejection, right? You just got so many more numbers instead of walking door to door, right? So the internet's been a wonderful place. So basically, it's been a fun run. The internet's a very big place. There's lots of ways to make a lot of money, right? And yeah, I got a little off track. What else do you want to know?
So where'd you go? 2000s, 2010, 2010s, I guess you would call it now?
Yeah, so I guess at the very beginning with that counter, I left that company after a little bit, and I started my own marketing firm as marketingfirm.com. And I picked a lot of brains. That's where I was going. There, I just got it back again. Moment of clarity. Sorry, everyone. It's been a long trade show. You know what I mean? I got the red eyes.
And I'm exhausted.
Oh my God, yes. I'm at the very tail end of a trade show right now. Yeah. I think I was up till 3:30 last night. Whew. Anyway, I picked a lot of brains, and I think that's the way that you learn the most, right? It's your network. So that's why I've always focused on the social events and bringing people together, because you learn so much more when you know the right people, and you get to pick those brains and you share information, and they trust you. So I learned early on, I literally started a marketing firm because I cold called everybody that used that counter back in the day.
Use your sales skills.
I used my skills. I'm like, how do I reach these people, right? How would you reach somebody back in 97?
You call them.
How? How would you get their
Phone
info?
book.
No. It was a
like
Whois
consumer?
search. I did Whois searches back then. So I would just look up the domain registrar. It was all there, right? You'd have the billing contacted everybody. I'd see the hosting network. I would know everything about what host they're using and everything. So I would just call them up, and they weren't used to getting calls by
Pretty good
anybody.
pickup rates, I was going to say.
It was amazing, right?
Gatekeepers were not a thing as much.
Right. It was amazing. And everybody would talk to me because I was with Website Story, the big giant that was counting their traffic. So
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God, why are they calling me? So I picked a lot of brains, and I learned the game. And when I left them, I started my own marketing firm, and I focus on brokering deals between people, taking a few clients, and going big with budgets. If somebody's got a big budget, I could play around and figure out how to monetize whatever they're doing. So it's been a fun run. I dabble with that still.
Have you run a lot of traffic yourself, like paid media? Or have you found always leveraging relationships has been...
I prefer to leverage the relationship and let them put in all the work and get paid in perpetuity. So if I could broker a deal or two, I mean, if you think about it, it's a handshake deal. Hey, you guys meet, boom, boom, boom. I'm on to the next deal, right? I don't need to be the actual owner of something. I could just broker it and still get paid as if I am a partner.
How do you protect yourself because I'm as the direct publisher, I don't broker anything. I run everything I sell, we produce.
Yeah.
I've always had the idea because I'm friends with a ton of brokers and network owners. How do you limit your risk of someone just like circumventing you and just cutting you out of the deal?
I mean, it happens, right? It happens a lot. That's why I'm very picky on who I choose to work with. And that's also why I don't really announce to people what I do behind the scenes. So if somebody knows me as the guy that throws the Players Ball, the Affy Awards, it's great.
They just know you in general.
I don't need to work with everybody, right? But if you have something truly unique that I think that is marketable and I could put a few deals together, yeah, I'll let you know that we could do some business, you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna announce it to everybody because then they kind of waste
the
your time.
vultures come too.
Yeah, they're like, so what do you do? How does that work?
Who do you sell it to?
Yeah, I don't want to teach you everything, you know. But if you're at the top of your game and you got something hot, I know I have a big Rolodex,
What are some of the bigger deals that have come out of creating events, that you obviously have the Affy Awards and the Affiliate Ball. What are some of the byproduct events and relationships that have been the biggest that you expected the least?
Well, I remember back in the day when Neverblue, remember Neverblue?
I'm new in the space of 2.5
Neverblue
years.
got bought, I believe, by W4 and then became DMS. They bought them out.
Yeah.
So it's like a big fish, another big fish comes and eats that one. I think they were selling their company at the time and they wanted to go big with the affiliate ball. So I sold them a title sponsorship and the timing was great for them, made them look really good. And then they got bought out. So sometimes projecting that you're a big player might help you sell your company in a situation, right? So I've seen that happen before. For me, it's just most of my deals I don't really talk about, but I mean, they're boring, right? I mean, you put people together, you get paid, and it's, not much to talk about. But I think the fun times for me are really putting people together, having a good time with people, and I'm not really trying to pitch people on doing business. You know what I mean?
Just let it come.
Let's just get to know each other and be friends, and if it works or if there's something going on, we'll figure it out, right? So that's kind of my approach. But in the meantime, I'm going to throw the big party. I'm going to throw the awards, maybe a trade show here and there, and put people together.
What's been the toughest day you've had in this industry, the hardest lesson you've learned?
Okay, I think mine would be, I don't know if you remember when the pandemic was just ending. Well, first of all, there's two phases to that. The pandemic started and everybody freaked out, right? What are we going to do for trade shows? How are we all, they didn't realize how long it was going to last. I did. I'm like, this is bad. People are wearing masks and saying they don't know what it is. So instantly I bought virtualdigitalexpo.com and I literally built a platform to do a trade show online at that time because I wanted people to still be able to network. So we got a whole bunch of people, it was free to register. We got 3,000 people to register for an online trade show during the pandemic. I think I released it by June. Remember the pandemic was March? Yeah. I literally built it from scratch. And it was great. We built Zoom in on that. So for me, it was kind of overcoming a horrible situation, right? I throw in-person events. I love to network. I wanted my people to still be able to network and not feel like you're missing out on not being able to go to a trade show.
Yeah.
So for me, that was kind of like a huge victory and a lot of fun. I had Mixmaster Mike DJ a virtual affiliate ball. How funny. I had a dance room on Zoom where people were dancing on a dance floor in my thing. Mixmaster Mike, it was really weird. I mean, the whole thing was weird. So I would say that was probably one of the toughest things. But I think that the second toughest thing was when the pandemic ended, I threw the party at Affiliate Summit where Method Man was supposed to perform outside at Light. I don't know if you remember.
Yep.
And the night before, he canceled at 5 p.m. So imagine your main artist. I still had Harry Mack. So Harry Mack is dope. So I had Harry Mack, but it's not the same as losing your main course.
Yeah.
I had Method Man, right? Method Man and I are very cool. I pulled an all-nighter with my agent in Australia and Method Man's management over on the East Coast. By 9 a.m. and doing an all-nighter, we got Akon to agree to perform, who's double the price.
Who's way better.
Well, I mean, the catalog is huge. Right. I think most of the guys, they're like, yeah, we want to see Method Man. And all the girls are like, we want Akon. So it was kind of like, so I had to have Method Man come back, again and again. But I think for me, that was one of the biggest things that I was able to pull. Like from 4 or 5 o'clock the night before, having Akon on a plane the next day, getting Method Man as my homie to wire the money to Akon, right, for me, not even having it approved yet with Mandalay Bay to, because they have to approve the artist.
Yeah.
So I'm in good faith. I'm like, let's fly him out, let's do it. So for me, that was one of the biggest obstacles. I'm sorry, it's not performance marketing related.
It's part of
but it's kind
experience.
Of. Right, exactly.
This is the lifestyle that people paint the picture of too, is doing cool baller shit like this.
Yeah,
right?
that was fun. And I had Bud Bundy from Married with Children. He was our DJ as Grandmaster B. So if you remember, in his character, he played like a DJ trying to be cool as Grandmaster B. And he happens to be a good DJ, and I'm friends with him. So I'm like, hey, why don't you come DJ? So it was really cool.
Where'd you get the idea to start bringing in artists for these events to make them extra special?
I worked in concert clubs since I was a senior in high school. I literally was bar backing at a concert club. Probably shouldn't have been allowed in at the time, but I did. And then in college, I was a bouncer, and I helped book artists, and I worked as a security guy. So I worked the backstage. So for me, I was like, okay, I know how to book an artist. I know which artists are up and coming. I know the good deals. Why don't we do that for the industry? Because back in the early days, it was really lame. You'd be in a hotel room and you'd be crammed in and it was awkward. It was hot and muggy, bunch of dudes, right? And like
a bunch of dudes.
It's still a bunch of dudes. But the hotel room part was really awkward. It wasn't even like a big party room. It was like literally come to our room and they had
like a suite or something.
Yeah, like a suite or something. I'm like, there's gotta be a better way to do this. So I was like, all right, let's create the Players Ball. That was the first version of it, the Players Ball. And all the players will come. And it was a costume event. People dressed up for it. It was a lot of fun. And then I switched over and I started the Affiliate Ball right as I ended the Players Ball era. But I wanted to create that atmosphere where you bond with someone. And then when you go back home, you guys have a connection, right? You guys were up front with Snoop Dogg. I mean, look, Carlos Corona hands a joint to Method Man. Method Man gets kicked off the performance, right?
What?
But he literally got kicked out of Vegas, like off my show for smoking weed because you're not allowed in the venue.
That
to
must have
smoke
been
weed.
awesome, though.
It was awesome, right? But the behind the scenes part is that Method Man already gave his full show and he was ready to go. So I told him beforehand, if you smoke weed, they're going to kick you out. So he knew what he was doing. Yeah. So he timed it for the very end.
You want to go out, you want to drop the mic.
Yeah, but I was so happy it was Carlos Corona that came with the fucking golden blunt and kicked my artist out.
Who have been some of the biggest artists that you've had? Obviously Snoop, Method Man,
Snoop Dogg, Method Man, Ludacris, T-Pain.
Ludacris?
Yeah, Luda was great.
T-Pain?
Yeah. When I
awesome.
did Ludacris, we had 50 Cent. I invited 50 Cent to come by, and we filmed for his TV show at the time. He did 50 Central, a comedy show. So I extended, if he wanted to come to the Copacabana, he could do behind the scenes with Ludacris and get whatever for a show.
Yeah.
So it was like surreal. I'm at my party with 50 Cent, right? And he was like the most huggy guy I've ever met.
That's cool.
Yeah, he was probably one of the most humble, down-to-earth guys. Literally my best friend for about 3 hours. Then I had to get back to my party. I'm like, dude, I gotta go.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so for me, those were some of the bigger names. But I'm also good friends with a lot of the artists after a while. After a while, you just become friends with them.
Yeah.
And they even stop by at my parties now. Some Dougie Fresh stops by in New York. Too Short's my homie. I've done a lot with him over the years. But yeah, I'd say the biggest was probably Snoop. I've done them 3 times.
What about more recently? Like, what are you focused on? Obviously, you still have AFI Awards, affiliate ball. What outside of that, and obviously you're brokering. What else is going on in your world today?
Well, right now, obviously, the pay per call is really big right now, and any kind of tool that applies to pay per call is really cool. So behind the scenes, I have ways to monetize, qualify your traffic a little bit better, and know who you can broker it to. So, like, behind the scenes, if anyone's interested, hit me up because I have some tools that are really cool and really good connects. So I might know a guy who's a great lead provider. Or I might have a really good offer, find a buyer, a seller, put them together. So behind the scenes, I think that's the fun, is being able to just kind of like, I have that vision where I can walk into a room, I already know whose industry and who's doing what. It's very rare because I've been in it for so long, eventually you meet everybody.
You can smell the bullshit.
Yeah, you can smell the bullshit and you already know. So I could literally walk up and put 2 people together that have never met and make money with them. So for me, that's the way to do it.
Where do you see things going? Like, what's your prediction for the next 12 to 24 months?
My prediction is good times are ahead. I've seen a lot of changes over the years, and a lot of people get scared with compliance issues, and that's understandable, right? But you always figure out a way to pivot and figure it out, right? So the whole compliance, that's not a big deal, right? Everybody's going to survive. Just be compliant, right?
Yep.
And figure out another way to do it. Do it better. Find better buyers, right? So I think that this is an explosion, and if you got the book, Pay Per Call Revolution, I believe it's called.
It is, yes.
It's true, it's a revolution. And I haven't seen anything like that since the very beginning of the internet, when it was the gold rush, right?
And forums.
Yes.
It was all forums.
Yep.
It's how you communicated about ideas and testing.
And the forum back in the day was GFY, go fuck yourself. That was it. It's still around, by the way, but that's for the adult side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all you had was like, that one forum. Now you got social media, makes it so much easier. LinkedIn, Facebook, all that. YouTube.
We're gonna put this video.
I mean, it's an easier era right now. If you're looking to build your audience, it's a good time. But I see this year as being a huge explosion in pay-per-call. I think you're going to see a lot of old school guys that are eyeballing it right now that haven't figured it out yet, but they are figuring it out.
They want to run crazy stuff usually, so you just got to figure out how to do it
right.
And then those big dogs come in, and it like pushes everyone to be better.
Right, exactly. Right? You got to be on your game, especially the guys that are coming from the SMS side. There's a lot of brilliant guys that got burned with SMS, but they're brilliant, and it's not too far off from pay-per-call.
Just got to change their strategy.
You just got to change it up a little. So I see all of those guys migrating over to pay-per-call right now. A lot of old emailers, that's always going to be around. But being able to like do the social media better and your ad buys and tie it all together, explosion this year, revolution.
What advice do you have for someone new coming into the space as an affiliate?
You can learn anything nowadays. I feel like everything's on YouTube, right? So if you're new and you have some kind of an idea, like, okay, I want to get into pay-per-call, I want to use Ringba, great, perfect. There's tools out there. They literally give you landing pages, right? They can give you a page. So like, as a newbie, the tools are there. You align yourself with the right people, you watch enough really good videos, right? Which, by the way, the AFI Awards, we're going to do Best Podcast. That's a new category.
Hope I'm up for it, man.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. I told you yesterday that we got to get you in the nomination, right?
Cool. So let's do it. Thank you.
So I see a big explosion. I think you're going to see more shows. I think a lot of people are going to get into it. It's content.
Which is what should actually be happening on the affiliate side itself.
Right. Content's always been king. If you have original content, you can build a following, you'll get people on board with you. And you're doing great, by the way.
Appreciate it, man.
I love it. You're very good.
It's been a blessing because it's allowed me to speed up the time to build relationships.
Yeah.
That's gold.
And by the way, it gives you instant credibility. Because if they've already seen you and they've heard you, they feel like they know you.
Yeah.
You see them at the show and they run up to you, and you don't even know if you know them or not because they're recognizing you. Right. Yeah. I've had that problem when I used to do a show. I'm going to bring it back eventually. I am bringing it back. It was the D-Money show. I had a 10-year run. I was literally the first guy in the industry to do a podcast, like in 98, 99 or whatever. And I had a 10-year run with it. It was great. Yeah. But now I'm going to bring it back. I don't want to do what other people are doing. So I'm going to go out to offices, and I'm going to do like an office road tour.
Nice.
Like an Anthony Bourdain kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that goes.
That's
know?
cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, brother, how can everyone find you most importantly?
Okay, so on LinkedIn, AFI Expo, you should go ahead and like us there. You can see all the nominees on AFI Expo. You could put yourself on the chart, by the way. So if you are the best show out there and you know it, go to AFI Expo and let us know. A lot of people don't do that. They're like, no, I don't want to nominate myself. It's like, you should if you're good, right? So if you have the best service out there, afiexpo.com, submit a nomination because nothing, look, if you're confident enough to tell me that you need that award, that's what we want. We want confidence. Tell me you're the best. Affiliateball.com, there you go. You can register for New York right now. We're doing back-to-back nights for New York. So we have the AFI Awards July 28th, full dinner, formal. It's going to be amazing. We like the one we did in LA where we had Jeff Ross. That was fun. He roasted everybody. I don't think I'll roast people again, but it was a lot of fun. And then the next night, we're going to do the affiliate ball. So we'll have another big artist. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Darren Blatt. Yeah, like I said, I can't work with all of you, but the affiliate ball can. So if you guys need some good exposure, that's what I have. I have a big database. I get eyeballs. I make sponsors seen in the biggest venues you could find. I get venues that hold about 2,000 to 3,000 people. So imagine being at a trade show and you have that big of an audience all under one roof looking at your brand. Even I'll give you a mic. You might even be able to talk and say what you do.
Yeah.
You walk around the room and you have live leads right there. So affiliateball.com will get you a good sponsorship deal. John sent you, you'll get a discount. Right?
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you for your time, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.